if you want
If you
to.
want to.
You can if you,
I'd like to. I'd like to know.
because you,
Interesting, huh?
you ride the bus.
Yeah.
Some-
Not as much as I used to. but
Correct.
I do.
Right. I have another meeting, I'm sorry, and it's not the Fair Board meeting, I know. I have another meeting.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, if you don't have one, then.
I know, and it just worked out.
Wow. That's right after this one?
No, I
You
have
get
a little
br-
time.
supper break, I
Yeah, I
hope?
do have a little time.
Oh, my gosh. You're so
Nobody.
busy.
Nobody. We're all
Right.
here.
Are we ready?
Yes.
All right, 4 o'clock on Monday, December 16th, call the meeting of the Transit Commission to order. Any public comment? Okay, then we'll go over the approval of the previous meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. On to the administrator's report.
Good news, bad news,
Okay.
more
Yeah.
worse news.
I don't know.
Well,
Good, I'm using my papers here. The good news is we had 4,399 riders for the month of November,
But you are the only one here.
which is pretty average for what's been going on. 0 extended service area rides.
okay.
I was on the radio in November and
Mhm.
promoted the Tour of Lights and holidays.
Mhm.
Speaking of the Tour of Lights, we had a whopping 45 people this year.
Yeah, which is sad.
45
It was it the weather?
No,
Oh.
people just
Oh,
didn't.
oh, it was cold, wasn't it?
It was cold.
Thursday it
That
was.
until,
Yeah.
we did have 45 people actually ride the bus. We had 52 people sign up-ish, and then there was some people that called and canceled. There was some people that just weren't there and said that other people were there and they said that they weren't gonna be there. So we ended up with 45 people. There was,
So how
too
many
bad.
buses did you take out
we
then?
took 3.
You did take 3. Okay.
Yep, there was 3. I had a 4th one ready to go on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
We had 2 people prior to 10 o'clock Monday morning-ish ask for the Thursday bus. And because the Wednesday buses weren't even full yet, and I was speaking with the mayor, and he kind of said, well, if they're not full, doesn't pay to do the Thursday bus.
Correct, and I think that
Yeah.
was our intent, to
Okay.
fill,
For the
to fill them
overflow.
up, and then if we had the overflow, that's why we said
Right.
we would do it on Thursday, correct?
Right.
Mhm.
Okay,
So on about whatever time Monday morning, we canceled
The Thursday.
the Thursday buses
Mhm.
due to lack of participation, and we
Aw.
called those people.
right,
And offered them Wednesday buses,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, they had things going on.
sure.
But, I mean, when you got 75 seats and you got only 45
Yeah.
filled.
Yeah, that's too bad.
It is.
Because last year we could have used.
Yeah,
it.
last year we couldn't,
Yeah.
couldn't have had enough.
Ah,
But even, there weren't even as many people decorated as last year.
Mhm.
I mean, just,
Oh.
they weren't
Or-
part of the tour.
Or they just didn't participate, were there, decorations and they just didn't participate too,
Well,
you-
that's what I'm saying. You had the people who were on, the people who decorated for the tour.
correct.
But the people who didn't decorate for the tour, there were so many more that didn't decorate than there were last year.
oh, and we've noticed that too. We were, in our neighborhood, we said just, there are not as many lights. Well,
So I think the Grinch got hold of this year.
I
It
think.
could be the late
it-
holiday too.
Yeah, maybe.
The-
I don't
Most
know.
people decorate after Thanksgiving and.
Oh,
We only got 3 weeks.
I know.
So.
It's sure.
And-
Yeah.
the Grinch too with the electric bills.
Mhm.
I mean, they're,
I got lights on at home. 24 hours a day.
oh, yeah.
But as you say, this is really one of our first down years though
Yes.
for this.
Yeah.
This is the very first down year.
So,
Wow.
and we can't expect everything to be,
Mhm.
but,
And this was the first time you had guides, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
and we had the tour guides
Right, and I heard that worked out well, that,
and most of the buses.
mhm.
Mhm.
Yes and no. But
Okay,
But I say yes and no. But
Yeah, well-
this was the first run, so you don't expect the first run to be exactly what you want it to be, because it's a learning curve, everybody's learning. The lady that we had on our bus, very nice lady, very, very, very nice. But, I don't know if she was just unprepared, or, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt because I don't know her. If, like I said, if she was just unprepared or unfamiliar with the area, or didn't know what her responsibilities were supposed to be. But she would, call things out, and she'd go, no, that, we're not there, we're down here.
You have joined the call.
You know,
but
which
you
is
weren't
very
on the
confusing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she kept saying it, 5 or 6 times, well, I don't know where I am, I'm not familiar with this. So the whole point of having that guide
Correct.
was to, leave the driver capable of just focusing on what he needs to focus on and not being a tour guide himself.
Right.
Which didn't work out for us.
Maybe the driver and the tour guide, maybe if that individual is not familiar with the city, say, well, we're coming up to
They
Glen
need-
Drive now. You know, I don't know.
Well-
That's like, I'm
Yeah.
not sure what it
I-
was, because she was
yes.
a very nice lady.
I
Sure.
made a suggestion to the marketing, part of the marketing committee, an informal suggestion kind of thing. And my suggestion to them was that my personal feelings are that having 45 people judge the entire thing, I don't think that's really fair to all of the community
You have
members.
joined the call, but you are the only one.
So my suggestion to them was that possibly next year, they look at opening up the voting for a period of time, say a week, where they have everybody register their houses, everybody can register their houses, and then from this day to this day, and my suggestion was the week that we do the tour of lights,
Mhm.
that people can register, and, or people can do
Vote.
the voting.
Right.
And that our tour of lights would include all of those houses that are involved. That way we can just drive and we can not have a tour guide, and we can just get it all done kind of old school. And yet people that want to vote and ride the bus to it can still do it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea.
Mm-hmm. I
And
did
then
too.
my other question was, you know, did the tour guides get the
You have joined the
address
call, but
list?
you are the only
So
one
they had
here.
plenty of time to go around and familiarize, because it's different when you see it in the daytime than you see it at night.
Yeah.
You know, did they have them in time that they could go around during the daytime and see what
I think
were?
they got them before they got on the bus,
Oh,
but
so kind of last minute.
but they weren't finalized until, because they extended the registration deadline to the end of Monday.
Mm.
And so then
Okay.
I didn't get all the addresses until Tuesday.
Okay.
To make a.
And Wednesday was the
Make a
tour.
list.
Yeah, so kind of back up on
So,
that.
Yeah.
the other thing that we kind of determined too is that there has to be a cutoff line.
Mm-hmm.
There does.
Even for people riding,
Mhm.
there kind of has to be a cutoff line because, I mean, up until 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, we're taking phone calls, trying to juggle things after we've got everything all set.
Oh.
Having them in order though, that was great. Because then when we did figure out what the address was,
Oh.
we weren't searching all over every place, you know.
No, I think I'd like to reconsider the tour guide. I think we had that for a reason, so the drivers could drive.
Drive.
And maybe but if they don't get the addresses in time, I can understand where some people aren't familiar with the area. Well, I don't know, did we turn on 8th Street or is this in
Exactly.
10th?
It's unfair to them.
Yeah.
Right, but I think it was to help the drivers, so they didn't have to say, oh, here we are at 707 East 7th Street. Oh.
And we had several situations where our guide, David, said, oh, it's, you know, the house on the left, and our driver would say, no, it's the house on the right. You know,
Okay.
so there was a lot of confusion on our bus, but it wasn't the driver's fault.
No.
It wasn't
Right.
his fault.
And that's
And-
preparation, but if.
Right, and I can't blame the guide for it either, because this is how you learn things.
Right.
I mean,
It's
this
a
is the
learning
first time.
First
so-
time,
but
yeah.
like I said, my suggestion was that
Timeline.
I didn't feel, me personally, I feel that there's so many people in the community that are not getting a chance to vote because they're not on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Correct.
Last year because there wasn't enough seats, and this year, well, I don't know, because they just didn't, because it was
Yeah.
out there.
And as you say, it all depends with the timing. There's school programs going on, you know.
So much in
just-
such a short time
Correct.
this year.
Yes.
So that may be part of the, you know, I'm sure it'll go better next year.
Oh, I
Sure.
know.
Yes.
So,
Look
But,
at
but
these
that's,
bugs.
that's
Yeah.
where we were at, and I did
That's
find out,
right.
just sitting here before, that the Rio Grande won,
Mhm.
and then on First Street took second, and on Sixth Street took third.
All three I voted for in that order.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, okay.
So excited.
How long did the whole tour last then? How, do you know about how
Um,
long you were on it?
Depends on how many houses are on it, really.
Did,
How long were you on the bus?
yeah, I was just wondering how
Hour
long.
and a half.
Okay. good.
An hour and a half?
Yeah.
Hour and a half from the
Okay.
time you got picked up?
It was about an hour and a half from the time we got picked up to
You have joined the
about the
call,
time I
but
got
you're the only
home.
ones here.
Okay.
And I will say too, for the tour guide, we did have a tour guide that dropped out Tuesday night. So
Oh.
literally, it
Oh.
could have been a situation of, we did have someone step up the very last second.
Oh, that was-
Yeah, see, that'd be
Yeah,
unprepared.
that was your
thinking.
bus.
But
I don't
Let's
know.
hope.
It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
Yeah.
you're right, though, it is the timeline, you need to
Yeah.
fix the
Yeah.
timeline, and then
Yep.
things should just fall into place better. But I would like to keep the, in order,
The addresses?
the addresses in order, even for next year. because
Sure.
then-
That's the way we do it every year.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
put the route
Okay.
together, and, because the route we put together is based on the addresses.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And even last year, they were.
Okay,
They were in
so
order.
we know that we're gonna do this again next year, correct?
Right.
Well, we know we're doing the tour of lights.
Correct.
I would-
So, as you say, we just need to get the PR out a little earlier. Not
Maybe a little
sa-
heavier.
Correct.
And I like the voting open for the week, because people who can't make it on that one night can still go around and look at the lights and still
Correct.
vote.
And we had cars
Yeah.
following
Mm-hmm.
those buses
Uh-huh.
too.
Yeah.
Sure.
I tried last
Yeah,
year.
so that's
Failed.
fine.
Thank you.
And then I kept my, I took a picture of my list of houses, because then I've got a couple of friends that aren't able to ride the bus, so
Oh, nice.
I will take them back, because I love looking at Chris's
Sure.
lights, so I will take them back,
Right.
you know, over the next few
But,
days.
you know, now, next time that you're on the radio, say, okay, you know, talk about the tour, obviously, and then say, yes, we are planning for next year. So, you know, just plant the seed so people know, yes, we're going to do it. You know, we're going to do it again in next December, the second week or whatever
Yeah,
we're
the
going to.
second Wednesday.
Right.
Yep.
So that way people can at least, oh yeah, they are going to do it again, and I know it's in December, I forget what, you know.
Yeah.
But just plant the seed and then we can reiterate.
When would you like the sign up to be ended by? If we do it on a Wednesday, would you like people to sign up by that Friday before?
I would think the Friday before.
The Friday
because then-
before?
Yeah, I
Then we
agree.
got what
Okay.
we can do
Mhm.
better with what we're doing.
Correct.
Well,
You know-
even the Wednesday before the Wednesday that we take the tour, it gives you almost a full week to get ready.
But they don't need that much
We don't need
time.
that much time.
No,
I mean,
okay.
Get
I was
the,
I
trying
put
to
it-
help
I
you.
put it all
Yeah.
together and.
yeah,
Yeah.
but then you'd have
In
time
2
to get
hours.
the list to the tour guide to study.
Right, and
The tour guide can get out there and
yeah,
drive
shoot
around
it
and
out.
look it over, maybe?
Now, if you're not going to ride the bus or the tour,
Wednesday.
but you do want to be part of the voting,
Yeah.
well, where would you pick up your ballot?
It'd be an online thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
And I'm sure marketing can figure all of that out. They can.
Because they had the house registration online,
Mm-hmm.
so they can do a ballot online too.
Oh,
Sure.
wow, great.
Good.
Good.
The last thing is employee status.
Yeah.
Is this the bad news?
This is the really bad news.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We are back to short, both part-time people.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Our person that was in training
hmm.
had their day and said it wasn't for them and quit.
Mm.
That must have just happened.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it just happened last week.
Last week.
So we just about finished with the training too. And
Oh.
Training decided that it wasn't for it. So.
Yeah.
I'm running the ad for, it's gonna be in the photo news this week, if anybody wants to look. It does say, it goes back to the option of the 6:45 to 9:45 or the 2 to 5 option.
I have a question.
Okay.
Before you invest in their training, before that first day of training, would it be
You have joined the call, but you are the
a
only one
viable
here.
situation to have that person that you're planning to hire, or that you have hired, to ride with the other drivers and see what everything's all about before we invest any training into it?
Voluntarily?
But this, I mean, this last one was in training for two
So
or 3
there's-
weeks.
Right, so
But
you've got all
that's-
that
but
time and
that's-
money
And
invested,
expense.
and then he quits.
Yeah.
So.
That's standard training.
I,
Yeah.
well, I know
But
that.
it's like he was like in the
but-
training, like he almost made it through the entire training, so.
He only had 2 days left.
Make this ride part of the interview process.
But he also had a CDL, so we didn't have any
Yeah.
CDL training with him. Because that can take
Oh.
Yeah.
4 weeks itself.
Okay.
It took me 8 weeks to get mine.
So your question is, would somebody interested in the job
Well,
be willing to ride and experience a whole day or a part-time day?
right, can you make that part of the hiring process? You find your person, you go like, okay, Joe Blow, yeah, I really want this guy. He, talks a good game, blah, blah, blah. Everything checks out, this would be a good driver.
I don't know if you can force them to do that voluntarily.
I think
Well,
it's a-
give them a stipend for the day. Like when you're on jury duty, just give them a stipend for the day.
But
And just tell them that, this is to give you an opportunity to see what the drivers do and decide if this is really something we want to go forward with. Save a lot of time and money. I like to work smarter, not harder.
Do you
I would
think
think-
something
Well,
like that would have helped the person who
Yeah.
didn't make
Well-
it?
It's not that he didn't make it, he
He-
just quit.
Yeah, why
but
did, I
he
mean,
was
he-
into almost 15 days of training by then, probably.
Well, he had done his classroom, he had done his.
Because I think he drove on the
afternoon
bus for 2-3 weeks.
Even if you had to pay.
Because generally what we do is, if they do their CDL training, we do their CDL training. Then they ride CDL training, then we have policies and procedures training, that's 3 to 4 days right here. Then they ride with the drivers and do the morning routes, and they ride and do the afternoon routes. So that's 6
Oh.
weeks of riding right there.
Okay.
And they get paid for all that.
And they get paid for all
Mhm.
of that.
But
Plus
wouldn't it
their
be-
CDL training, plus
Hmm.
their classroom training.
Wouldn't it be cheaper to pay
Hmm.
them for 1 day as opposed to 3 weeks?
There's
But I think
probably
it's-
a
And let them
way.
watch out in that 1 day if they want to.
But the problem is this person stayed on for how many weeks
That's
of
what I
riding
mean,
with? So it wouldn't have mattered if they rode for 1 day or if they rode for 20
Well,
days.
In that instance, yes.
They
but
still,
That wouldn't be in every instance.
Well, I'll tell you, if I'm looking for a job or things like that, I kind of would do some background checking my
Mhm.
own
You go,
instead
when I
of just
go
say,
through
well,
my
that's
interview
okay, we'll just
people,
sign up for
I
this
go
one.
through
Yeah,
what's
well, I think
involved.
there's a little bit of
And I
that.
ask them, if they're comfortable, because I have offered it to
You
people.
have joined the call, but you
I
are
have
the
offered
only
it.
one.
is it possible to maybe have them ride 1 day before? I know they have to go through the CDL training no matter what. But then before you go through the policies training, could they just do the riding the first day
Mhm.
and then go through the policies? So if they don't like the riding, then they're
Mhm.
out?
Because I used to temp a lot.
Or does it, like,
And I could tell
are
if I was
there,
working 1 day, there's no way I want to work at this
are there
place
ways that you
where
have to follow certain
This was.
procedures?
Well, I can offer it to them.
It's something to think about.
I can offer it to them to have to be a voluntary thing, but before we can put them on the bus as
That's what I
even a
wondered.
temporary employee,
Mhm.
we're investing money.
Mhm.
Right.
Because if they're doing that as
So they
an
have to be a
employee,
volunteer to ride that day.
if they're doing it as an
Yeah.
employee, then they have to be drug tested and go through
Mhm.
the physical and all that stuff.
Mm.
All right.
But like
As a
Sarah,
volunteer, it gives them a chance to see what it's all about.
You
and
have
say,
joined the call, but you are the only one here.
And you weeded them out in 1 day instead of 3 weeks.
Hmm.
And if they really want the job, they'll volunteer for that day.
well, what about moving the ride AM even before CDL? Where they would do the ride-alongs?
Because if they don't pass their CDL, they can't become a driver.
Yeah.
Right.
So that
But I mean, to
wouldn't-
see if you were even interested, you wanted to
think
pass
that-
the CDL
You still have your
first.
CDL?
Not anymore, but I used to.
Yeah, so you'd
Well,
have
I'm
to
thinking a
pass.
part-time driver.
You would have to pass the CDL. I think the CDL would be the most important, because if they can't pass the CDL, you
So
can't
do
move
we
forward.
pay for their
And this guy
CDL
came to us
training?
with it. Darren
Mhm.
came to us
I think
with
we
the
do.
CDL.
Yep.
I think we
So
do.
he was pretty easy.
Yeah.
That's a
Brad.
win.
Ask
It was
Brad.
challenging.
I-
We pay for their CDL training, don't we?
We do.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
is that a very
Exactly.
difficult training?
Oh, it's-
CDL
it's-
training,
it's
yes.
Is it
intense.
something, I mean, how many people
Extended.
don't pass that want to?
Well, when I took it.
It takes a while for some people.
When I took it, the class
Oh.
came to us. There were 16 of us. The class came to us because of where we worked.
Okay.
And they allowed us to take the test 3 times that day. And I had to take it twice before I passed it.
In one day?
Mhm.
You get the training in one day?
But that was a long time
How long
ago.
in our training?
That's a long time ago, though. I'm talking like 19.
CDL training is a couple weeks.
I was gonna say it's more intense
Long
now,
time.
right?
Mhm.
Many days? Yeah, how many days is it now? A
For
week?
for CDL,
Yeah.
once you get your permit,
Yeah,
you have to wait 2 weeks before you can
Mhm.
take a CDL test,
okay.
a road test.
Permit and.
Because
then
don't you have to
take
pass a
roads.
written and a road?
You have to get your road
Yeah.
test, you have to get your written test first, and there's
Mhm.
4
I don't know anybody who wants
signs,
to do this.
Signs,
Hmm.
channel, air.
It takes people a while to take their
Four-
written test.
There's
Okay.
4 written tests.
You have joined the
Mhm.
call.
Okay.
That hasn't changed in years.
So it is challenging.
It is challenging. And depending on the job that you're taking it for,
Mhm.
it may not be the same requirements as what the test is written for.
Mhm.
So are we still going for just part-time, or is the option of a full-time realistic?
Going to a 4th full-time?
Good
Mhm.
question.
Instead of 2 part-time?
Do you have enough business for a full time?
Well, then we're going
It would go back to
we
that
have go
rotating
back to
Mhm.
that we
schedule
came up
thing and
with.
Look at that.
I just didn't know if you can get a full-time easier than a part-time. And I don't know what's in, the budgets were approved.
The budget wasn't approved
For a fourth
full-time
full-time.
this year.
Okay.
It was last year, but this year the budget wasn't approved that way. It was approved kind of that way because she incorporated the 4th,
You have joined the call, but you are the only one here.
there's a 4th person and an additional full-time employee insurance.
Oh.
in the
Okay.
budget.
Oh.
So that money for the, if we were to hire a full-time person, that insurance is budgeted. And the wages would be
Mm.
offset by part-time, full-time. The hours we
Mhm.
draw on are the hours we run, so the driver's a driver.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but this is the ad that's running on Thursday.
And we do have it on the banner
Should be
running
on
too, don't we?
marquees.
Yes.
Again,
Mhm.
I'm gonna say they can switch back after the Torah lights.
Well,
But-
yeah,
Where's the banner?
on the bus.
Oh, on the bus, okay. I didn't know if we have it over the chamber too.
Yeah.
Not that- No.
But
So what are we
you know,
doing
You
now?
can put that on the chamber
Yeah, I would
website
send
too,
that to the
because
chamber.
the,
You have joined the call, but you are the only one
They have
city is a
a-
member of the,
Mhm.
The
chamber,
chamber.
and they have,
They
a
have
spot where you
hiring.
can update that
Mhm.
in.
On the
That-
chamber?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would just send
Put
over
it on their
your
banner.
ad.
Okay.
Is this just going to be on the inside of the bus or on the outside?
It's going in the photo. and-
Photo
Mhm.
news. So what are we doing? There's nobody doing these jobs?
We're back to whoever rotating the drivers, the
Okay.
full-time drivers to come in a week or come in early.
Early one week.
Okay.
So they come in early on a week and then rotates back to that overtime thing.
Mm.
Rotate and overtime.
And hoping that nobody gets sick. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, be careful about that bug that's going around.
Sick
The
or
last
die
few days
or
in the hospital, yeah.
quit.
Oh, dear.
It goes fast.
Because that is kind of where we would come into a bind before.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's,
Yeah,
that's
as
the
soon
risk
as
of, that's
somebody-
the absolute
Joined the
risk
call,
of
but
doing
you
a
are the
fourth
only one here.
Full-time.
full-time person.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You don't have the flexibility.
Correct. And it was, so that's the part-time driver situation.
Okay. So one you talked about just quit on that bad day. What about the other one? How far did they make it through training?
Oh, he was driving.
Didn't have one.
Oh,
We were still looking for one.
we were
I think that
still looking.
We still had an open
Oh,
spot.
I thought the
think.
last time we were all staff.
Yeah.
That was a couple times ago.
Okay,
2 months
sorry,
ago.
runs together.
No, the last one.
Okay.
The last one made it through
Short
training and
one
was
and
driving.
one training. That was in
yeah.
November.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, goodness, I'm
This
behind.
was December.
Yeah.
along with that, I did receive a phone call from a former employee kind of asking for their job back.
Would you consider hiring this employee back?
I am unsure, because that person gave us
You have joined the call, but you are the only
a
one here.
notice. And then, so their notice, their last day was gonna be on a Thursday.
Mhm.
And Wednesday was their day off that week. And they called in sick on Tuesday. So they called in sick on Tuesday. Wednesday was their day off, never showed up on
On
Thursday
Thursday.
for their last day.
Well, we'll have to discuss that. You'll have to weigh things out to see. I don't think this is the place
Right.
Mhm.
to. But
But
it's
that
something
was-
to consider if they're trained, and you can always have a chat with them.
And it was also a person that we hired, we trained,
Mhm.
and then left for a full-time position.
Sure.
So if I'm hiring
Oh.
for a part-time position,
Mhm.
I am going to hire for a part-time position.
Correct.
So because training people and having them all leave all the time
Mhm.
for full-time work just isn't working, and it's not really
You have
No.
joined the call,
financially
but you are
good
the
for
only
us.
one here.
Mhm.
It doesn't sound to me like he's a good candidate for the other.
So that's where I'm at with that. And, I have another full-time driver that pretty much demanded me to come in here and tell you that there are 4 people, only 4, not 6, there's 4 people that have
It looks
made
like no one else is going to join this
mail
call.
around and they're
Goodbye.
what it is, and they should have a raise. Pretty much demanding that they all get a raise because they're the ones that are making me look good and keeping the mail around running.
Is there any truth to that?
Truth to what?
To what that person is saying?
What time is this meeting that you have with this group, and they're all going to be here?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock? Do you think we should wait for them? And if they want to talk to us? Because I don't think we really have any authority over what we give them for raises, do we? It's the city council.
Correct.
It is the city council.
Because it's the budget.
I said the budget's already set.
Right, so, I feel bad about that because it's not that we don't defend them or appreciate them
Right.
and things like that, and for them to say that, I guess they maybe need to say that to this commission. And we can reiterate that we do what we can in the budget, but we don't, am I correct, Mr. Councilman? The council is who gives the raises for any of the departments, including the transit?
You grab a microphone here.
This one's on too.
There's enough of them on that I'm picking up
Okay.
audio. The council does set the budget, which also includes the 3% raise that every employee gets. If it's anything that comes up, it should go to personal finance first and then to the common council after that. And that's what I would recommend to these 4 individuals that are.
And they're good employees. I really do appreciate
Yes.
the drivers that we have and seeing what they do. I truly do. But we, as a commission, as you say, don't have the authority to say, please give them a 6% raise, a 5% raise.
Right, because the money wasn't put in there for the 2025 budget to do that. So then we'd have to make an amended budget, which everyone already got their tax bill. And let's face it, if anyone looks at the cesspool known as social media, a lot of people aren't happy about it. So, I mean, I know I wasn't in particular happy with my tax bill, but it is what it is.
And if people
so.
have to realize that tax bill, 3/4 of that is wages
Mhm.
and benefits.
Mhm.
They're in this 3/4 of our tax bill.
Almost 80% of our
Is-
It's
is
more
it
of our
89%?
budget is
Okay.
close
That's what I
to,
was wondering.
because it's a guesstimate, from me, but I mean, I would say 80% of our budget does end up being, wages, benefits, all of that stuff. So, I mean, you're talking a lot, and
And we have good employees, whether it be the Parks Department, the Police Department, the Fire Department, the
Mhm.
Water
Water.
Utility,
So-
Street. The-
What
So-
bothers me the most is I have gone to the council in the past, and they have received additional steps in wages in previous budgets. It's not that we don't fight for it, and I have fought for it every year, but
So when you say the budget's set with a 3% raise, that's for everybody?
that's for
2.5, right?
2.5?
2.5 to 3%. We
Okay.
I know it's estimated up to 3%.
But that's across the board?
That's across the board
For
to every
everybody.
employee,
Okay.
basically,
For the whole city.
throughout the whole city. And I think the whole city, the last time I heard, was like 80 full-time employees, so.
Is it a possibility that they're hearing this no from you, but you're with them every day, you're their boss, they're hearing it from you? So are you speaking for, so they could be wondering, are you speaking for you or are you speaking for the committee? So maybe, like you suggested, we stay for this other training and the committee says, this is the way it is. Then that's no longer coming
I
from
tell
just
them
you.
that, I tell them I'll bring it.
They need
Oh,
Mr.
absolutely.
Akey and Mr. Haas to sit down with them, maybe.
Well, like I said, the easiest way
For
to,
the personal finance?
the easiest way to do it is bring it up to personal finance, because it's got to go through that committee. The way that it's set up right now, anything that has to do with personnel and anything that has to do with finances
Goes to.
is going through
Correct.
personnel and finance. And I mean, that's the way it should be. We have a
That's why we
committee
have a city
specifically for that.
administrator.
So we can make a recommendation to them to do this.
To,
You know, we
to ask for it to
support
get
you,
put on our January agenda, and
this is
then,
what we can support you in.
and I am
doing.
on that committee myself, so
Okay.
it's not out of the ordinary for us to have to
Mhm.
deal with something like that.
That might carry more weight coming from the committee rather than just coming from you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, and I'll say this about all of our,
Kinda lets him off.
all of our directors, not just Brad, all of our
Yeah.
directors, all of our administrators, they all fight for their employees every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no, so I mean,
That's true.
Yep.
When you're in that, when you're the employee,
you don't always see
you
that.
don't always see that. So
Mm-mm.
sometimes when Brad's telling them that, they don't totally 100% believe that he's telling them what the committee is saying.
Yeah. As someone who's had,
Someone else says it.
as someone who's had good bosses and bad bosses, I've learned to appreciate when someone's actually doing right by you.
Absolutely.
So,
Do they know that they're getting this?
Yeah.
3%.
Raise.
When it was- when this driver
Mhm.
said all this to me, about, he speaks for all of them. And,
Mhm.
but he only said 4 people make the department look good.
Mm.
I was a little disturbed because
Mhm.
there's some part-time drivers that do just as much to make the department equal.
So what were they expecting, or what is he expecting?
Yes,
to
what does
bring
he
back?
think if he's gonna get a 3% raise? Does he want a 5% raise? What's the number, I guess? That they think they
I guess we need
deserve?
to
well,
ask.
that would be the question that personnel finance would
This
also ask.
individual
Right.
assumes, is under the assumption that that all of the, and only full-time drivers.
Mhm.
So this person leaves
Oh.
out all, leaves
Well,
out the part-time drivers.
That doesn't work that
Totally.
way.
No.
And that's not right, but this person feels that all of the full-time drivers should get at least $5 an hour more.
Oh, came with a number, okay.
It was
And what's
somewhere
the,
around there.
and what would that percent be, do you know,
I don't know what it was,
off the top of your head?
25%-ish.
I do have one question, I guess, for you, Brad. How many employees do you have right now, like full-time?
7.
There's 7.
4 full-time people and 2 part-time drivers, MSO.
Okay.
So 5 full-time if you count. Brad.
Brad doesn't count as full-time, he's salary.
Yeah.
Salary,
Yeah.
I've been told before, salary doesn't count as full-time because you get paid
So
less
it'd be
than minimum
like-
wage sometimes.
So it'd be like 6 then? Is that what we would have
And,
then?
I would still say
There's
7,
6
but
drivers.
yeah, there's 6 drivers.
7
7
employees in the
Yeah.
department.
Yeah. So basically, someone's saying 4 are making the other 3 look good.
Yes.
So
Wow.
Well, the 2 part-timers that were fairly new, right, been together for a while.
No,
2
no.
part-timers
The
are the most
2
senior
part-times
drivers.
have been here the longest.
Okay.
so.
I don't know what
think
anybody else thinks, but that's an unrealistic expectation.
Of $5.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
and it's not up to
But it's a
us.
negotiating point,
Yes.
you know, you can
Well,
always.
especially when you work in this type of a place where you are a city employee, where they're all
Where it
getting
has to go
the
through a-
same. I
Right.
mean, when I was working with the school district, no matter if you taught 4-year-olds or high school kids, you all got the same thing.
Right, and I know,
Yeah.
coming from someone that recently did just negotiate some pay wages at the school district, I won't say what the value was or anything like that, but the only reason I did it was because I was trying to get, or people were trying to poach me from other areas for what I do, and it's like, can you help get me up to a point where I feel more comfortable saying no to these people, because they were coming at me with some, you know,
Good numbers.
good numbers where it's like the only difficult thing for me was saying I'd have to move, and it's like that I didn't want to do. So it's like find a number somewhere a little bit higher than what I'm making right now and we'll be good. But that, and I don't know if that individual's trying to do that, but
Have these people gone to personnel and finance
It
with
has
their
gone- it has
request?
gone to
It-
personnel
it's gone in the-
previously.
Yeah.
it's gone in the past, but it hasn't in the last year and a half or so.
Okay. But now,
But now, like, you know, I mean, it's the thing, okay, well, now you wanna bring this up again, but, and I said, budget's already set for 2025.
and they're all getting overtime like every week right now.
Yeah.
Because
It's
with being
crazy.
short, they're all on overtime
Exactly.
more
Right,
than
so
they
that-
have been.
So-
Well, and I can
And
tell
they
you,
rotate it, so.
I know we've made budget changes halfway through a year in the past, but most of the time, that's capital. Because we have to take out loans in order to do that.
Mhm.
So, I mean, like, we just had to make an amendment basically to our budget already because a heat exchange went out.
Mhm.
Well, 2 of them did. So it's like, I don't know.
Here in this building?
No.
So,
But,
In another
but
building?
In
in the
another
end,
building,
it's still
but-
not, we
It-
can't make a final call on it no matter what.
right,
No, it
this
is
No
commission.
matter
Right.
what, it
It's
has to
not
go
a-
You know, we
to,
appreciate them, you know, a while ago, several years ago, when Brad was working at the desk, you know, Share the Care, and we brought in, for the drivers and things like that, we brought in them a plate of cookies from the credit union. And, yeah, that wasn't a lot, but it was something to show, you know, really, people do appreciate you. Because you don't get recognized. Now, and I understand that.
And sometimes that little bit of recognition can go a long way.
Correct,
Mhm.
correct.
Yeah. And I understand, like, I haven't ridden the merry-go-round in probably 20 years. I was probably in elementary school, you know, the last time I rode the merry-go-round. I got to ride it on Wednesday with the Tour of Lights, and I will say that, you know, it was definitely a good experience and something that I think we have a great transportation system.
We
and
have a top-notch.
yeah, and the thing is, it's not just 1, 2, 3, or even 4 employees that are doing it. It takes a whole team to do that. So I think that individual needs to. I truly think it. To me, it sounds more like an ego trip, and I don't want to call out that individual, you know, because I don't know who the individual is. Obviously, Brad does, but I would say that it sounds to me like an ego trip, and it's something that
yeah.
you know they can definitely address with
So-
that
I will
commission,
take it
with
back
that committee.
I will take it back to the employees and say that I brought it to you guys and that
Thank you,
you
Nathan.
appreciate what
Thank
is
you,
done
Nathan.
and that we can look at it for the 2026 budget with the Personnel and Finance Committee. That would would be a
Yes.
recommendation.
I mean, just because
Yes.
we can't.
Would that be well, you said we could look at it with the personnel and finance. You're meaning
It would have
you
to
and
be-
your
It would have to be
team
something that goes on to the Personal and Finance Committee.
From the commission.
from,
Yeah.
not from us?
And
The commission or from the employees?
it would just have to go on there for the raises.
So they
Okay.
would need to contact personnel and.
I would do it. I would put it on
Okay.
for them. I mean, I would-
Okay.
I've done it before, so it's
Okay.
not a big thing, but it just has to be done for the budget.
Okay.
Mhm.
Maybe that would be
Yeah,
all.
I would say that, and just put a little, a little blurb in there, somehow work it in, that this is not a decision that the committee can make on its own. It has to go through proper channels.
Mhm.
Well, I can't understand. They
And
work
this
for the city and they
individual.
don't understand that we
No.
don't
Well,
have
I think
control
because we're a
over them.
commission, they think that we
Mhm.
might have more control.
Mhm.
Because we aren't a committee, we're a commission. So sometimes they think that because we
Right, a
do have more
commission does have-
control than
A
committees.
commission does, that's
So they
correct,
might
Sarah.
think that we do have more control over it and not realize that we actually don't.
Well-
That could be another
To
piece
a
to it.
certain degree.
Yes.
Would that be something we would ever go to personnel and finance on their behalf?
I think you would make a recommendation and I would take. the
Yeah,
Correct.
he would
Okay.
take it.
Unless,
Okay.
unless you want to go and make public comment. That's the only
Okay.
thing. Otherwise, it should go through the proper channels.
Okay.
And Brad is the proper channel to
Yes.
bring any concerns
Okay.
to,
Start there.
yes.
Okay,
Correct.
sounds good.
Okay.
One last thing regarding employees.
Oh, great.
Oh, no, this is an easy one.
Okay.
This is an easy one. 2025 holidays. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's-
I'm done with my administrative.
Okay,
report.
we're gonna move on to general agenda items for consideration. 2025 holidays.
And here we are.
I put this on the agenda.
Okay.
I'll pull up a
Somebody
calendar
in
so I
City
can
Hall
see it.
came to me and said that the 2025 holidays, we have Christmas holiday, the 24th and 25th, which is a Wednesday and Thursday.
Yes.
City Hall is going to close on the 26th to the public, meaning you can take a day of vacation
Friday.
on Friday and have the longer week, have Wednesday,
Mhm.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off,
Mhm.
but you have to take a day of vacation.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
nobody, and City Hall will be closed. If you don't take your day of vacation, you come in and work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I was asked, what would we do?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, are you gonna be running that day?
There's no school.
There's no school. I was asked, what would we do? I've already got put in for that day of vacation off.
Cause that's what,
Um,
5 days that the bus won't be running?
Yes.
Okay, but those are also probably, we're saying 5 days, there won't be any doctor's appointments or, anything like that, that people who can't drive or don't drive.
So when asked,
The bus won't run from Wednesday through Sunday then.
it couldn't run on Friday. No, this is not their decision. This is entirely your decision. I did ask them, would you take the day of vacation? If you were given the option,
Mhm.
would you take the day of vacation and have a long weekend, or would you work that day?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And what were the
they all said
answers?
they'd take the day of
The
vacation.
majority were, I would take the day of vacation, and the minority were, I would work, but if everybody else is taking the day of vacation.
Oh.
And it
Then I
have to
would
be-
too.
It would have to be.
It's got to be
unanimous.
inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
being that everybody kind of said they would take the day of vacation, that would mean we would have to shut the bus down for that day.
Mhm.
As City Hall is closed for that day,
So you need a motion to,
that would be something that you would need to think about, discuss.
Before.
And.
right.
So then the following week you would be closed Thursday only?
New Year's Day.
Or would you be closed
Just
Thursday,
New Year's-
Friday?
No,
No,
just New
just
Year's
Just New
Year's
Year's
Day.
Day, okay.
I think with the Christmas one,
Because that would be a 2026 holiday.
with the
Yes.
Christmas one, I think I would, when you're on the radio and everything, just remind people that, but there's not gonna be a bus running on these days.
Well, we
The only-
have to make a decision
Yeah,
first.
the only
first.
thing that I
That's
think would be
your-
hard, I'm just gonna think, the only thing that would be hard with that is like your grocery runs that are on Thursday.
Mhm.
Would you then do them on Monday and Tuesday? Because
You'd have to.
Your
you
grocery
have,
run for that
because
Thursday would probably end up on Tuesday because Wednesday and Thursday are holidays.
Yep.
Correct.
So that grocery run on that week would probably end up on Tuesday, would be my
Okay.
my guess.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like that kind of stuff too. And do you know that is, I mean, I don't know what the school district, I mean, I'm sure they're
There's no
closed the
school.
26th. They're not,
Yeah.
there's no school
There's
that
no
whole
school.
week?
Correct. I would assume there's no school that whole week.
Okay.
I wouldn't be so sure on the Tuesday, on the Monday, but.
That's
most
what I was
likely
wondering, because that
I
would be
know in
like
the
2
past
weeks
we've
out.
done
Monday
Monday,
we would be running.
Tuesday,
Monday and
or
Tuesday
We've
we'd
done
run.
the,
So 22nd, 23rd.
yeah,
Yep.
we've done the 22nd, 23rd, and then
Yep.
had off 24th, 25th, and then all the way through till New Year's.
When does this have to be voted on?
It doesn't have to be now. I'm
Okay,
just bringing it
so
to
we
you
can
But,
guys.
just
but it's
think
something I
about it.
think that we should do sooner than later,
Mhm.
so people
Correct.
can make their plans.
Mhm.
And we can let people know
And the thing-
in advance what our schedule is going to be.
And I did tell everybody that you have to have vacation time for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll take it off.
So, yeah, what happens if they don't have vacation time for it?
I don't know the
Then,
answer
do they
to
have
that
to come in
question.
and work? Because
They have
the
to
other, if
clean
you're a
the
different
buses
city
or-
employee,
Yeah.
city employee, you're saying if they don't take the vacation, they have to come in and work. So if they don't take the vacation
I
time,
would assume that everybody.
You'd probably be cleaning buses or doing some maintenance or something that they,
No supervision.
I wouldn't have
And then
any.
you- Then you have one person in the bus barn where something happens.
Then they should just take the day off without pay if they don't have any vacation time.
That has to go through personnel and finance.
they can't, yeah, that we can't decide. Mm-mm.
Well, we got a whole year ahead. We've got a year to
You got a
work
year to
on
plan
it.
and
So
make the
that would
decision.
be,
Everybody,
Well-
everybody did say and agreed they would have a day of vacation to use for that.
okay. And you can monitor that yourself.
Correct.
yep, they gotta
With
make
To
the-
ensure that they.
Correct,
Mhm.
to ensure that they would have, yes, you're correct. Correct. So it's just something we need to think about, and I think the sooner we decide on it, the better for everyone. To let them know this is what's gonna happen, and this is, so plan accordingly.
So can we vote on that next month?
You can.
'Cause we're in the
That's,
new
that way
year
we
then.
can think about it and, yeah. Okay. Then we're gonna go on to agenda items for next meeting, so we will put that on there.
Christmas.
We will also add in for we have to vote on the extended service area at
Mhm.
the next meeting,
Mhm.
and then.
And I guess I would like a list, it's probably, when we extended this service area, we did get a couple rides, and since
Mhm.
then, I.
Been very minimal.
It's
Been very minimal.
Yes, so I guess I think this way, if we have it in front of us,
Yep,
and we can say.
I agree.
And people listening on the video and things like
Mhm.
that can see, oh yeah, they only had a total of X amount of rides.
Yeah.
So they can
Mhm.
understand the reasoning, yes or no.
So if you could have a table ready for us next meeting.
I'll just dig up the last one, 'cause it really hasn't changed.
And then add in the next couple months and call it good. And then we can use that to vote on that.
Mhm.
Any other agenda items? I mean, we can, the employees, but that you'll have in your report.
Yep.
Okay, then the next meeting will be January 20th,
Yeah.
2025 at 4 o'clock in the Merrill City
Wow.
Hall Council Chambers. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed, meeting adjourned.